Jonas
slept
watched
soundly,
as
Jonas?
his father poured
His
a fresh
mother
cup of
asked at the
coffee.
morning meal.
He
No
waited.
dreams? Jonas
You
simply
know,
smiled
his
and
father
nodded,
finally
not
said,
ready to lie,
every December
not
was
willing to
exciting
tell the
to me
truth.
when I was young.
I slept very
and it has
soundly,
been for you and Lily
he said.
too, I'm sure.
I wish
Each
this one
December
would,
brings
his
such
father said, leaning
changes.
down from his chair
Jonas
to touch
nodded.
Gabriel's
He could
waving
remember
fist.
The Decembers back
The
to when
basket
he
was
had
on the
become,
floor beside
well,
him,
probably a
in its
4.
corner.
The earlier
Beside
ones were
Gabriel's
lost to
head,
him.
the stuffed
But he
hippo sat
observed them
staring
each
with its
year,
blank eyes.
and he remembered
So do
Lily's
I,
earliest Decembers.
Mother said, rolling her eyes.
He remembered when
He's
his
so
family was
fretful
full
at
of
night.
Lily, the day she was named.
Jonas had not heard the new child during the night because, as always,
the ceremony
he
for
had
the
slept
ones
soundly.
was always noisy
But
and
it was
fun.
not true that he had no dreams.
Each December,
Again and
all the
again
new
as he
children
slept, he had
born in
slid
the
down that
previous
snow-covered
year
hill.
turned one.
Always,
One at a
in the
time.
dream,
There were
it
always
seemed as
50
if
in
there
each
were a
year's group,
destination,
if none had been
something
released.
he could not grasp
They had been
what,
brought to the
that lay
stage by
beyond
the
the place
nurturers
where the thickness
who had
of
cared
snow
for
brought
them
the
since
sled to a
birth.
stop. He
Some
was
were
left
already
upon
walking,
awakening with the feeling that he
wobbly
wanted,
on their unsteady
even
legs.
somehow needed,
Others
to
were
reach
no
the
more than a
something
few
that
days
waited
old,
in the distance.
wrapped in blankets,
The feeling that it was
held
good,
by their nurturers.
that it was welcoming, that it
I
was
enjoy the
significant.
naming, Jonas said.
But he did not know
His
how to
mother
get
agreed,
there.
smiling. The
He
year we
tried
got
to
Lily,
shed the leftover
we knew, of
dream,
course, that we'd
gathering
receive our
his schoolwork
female
and preparing
because
for
we'd
the
made
day.
our application and been
School
approved.
seemed a little different
But
today.
I'd been wondering
Classes
and
were the
wondering what her
same,
name
language
would
and
be.
communications,
I could have sneaked
commerce
a look
and
at the
industry,
list prior
science
to
and
the ceremony,
technology,
Father
civil
confided.
procedures and government.
The committee always makes
But during
the
the
list
breaks
in
for
advance,
recreation
and it's right there in
periods
the
and the
office
midday
at the
meal,
nurturing center.
the other new
As a matter
12s
of
were
fact,
abuzz with
he went
descriptions
on,
of their first day of
I
training.
feel a little guilty
All
about
of them
this,
talked at once,
but I did go in
interrupting
this
each other,
afternoon and
hastily
look to see
making
if
the
this
required
year's naming
apology
list
for
had been made
interrupting,
yet. It
then
was right
forgetting
there in the
again in the
office,
excitement of
and I looked up
describing the
number
new
36.
experiences.
That's the little guy
Jonas
I'd been
listened.
concerned about.
He was
Because
very
it occurred
aware
to
of
me
his
that
own
it might
admonition not
enhance
to
his
discuss
nurturing
his
if I
training.
could call him by a name.
But it would have been
Just
impossible
privately,
anyway.
of course.
There
when
was no
one
way
else
to
is
describe
around.
to his friends what he had
Did you find
experienced
it?
there in the annex
Jonas
room.
asked. He was fascinated.
How could you
It didn't
describe
seem a terribly
a
important
sled
rule,
without
but the
describing
fact
a
that his
hill
father
and
had
snow?
broken a rule at all.
And how could you describe a hill
him.
and snow to someone who
He
had never
glanced at
felt
his
height
mother,
or wind,
the one
or that
responsible
feathery
for
magical
adherence to the
cold?
rules, and was
Even
relieved
trained
that she
for
was
years,
smiling.
as they all had been in
His father
precision of
nodded.
language, what
His name,
words could you use
if he makes
which
it to
would
the
give
naming
another
without
the
being
experience
released,
of sunshine?
course, is to be Gabriel.
So it was easy for Jonas to be still.
So I whisper
to
that to
listen.
him when I feed him every 4 hours.
After school
and
hours,
during
he rode again
exercise and
beside Fiona
playtime,
to the house of
if
the
no one
old.
can hear me.
I looked for you
I
yesterday,
call him Gabe,
she told
actually,
him, so we
he
could ride
said,
home together.
and grinned.
Your bike was still
Gabe.
there, and I waited for a
Jonas
little
tried
while.
it out.
But it was getting
A
late,
good
so I
name,
went on
he
home.
decided.
I apologize for making
Though
you
Jonas
wait.
had only become a 5
Jonas
the
said.
year that they acquired Lily and learned
I
her
accept
name,
your apology,
he remembered the
she
excitement,
replied,
the conversations at
automatically.
home, wondering about
I
her,
stayed
how
a
she
little
would
longer
look,
than I expected,
who she
Jonas
would be,
explained.
how she would fit
She
into their
pedaled
established
forward
family
silently.
unit. He
And
remembered
he knew
climbing
that
the
she
steps to
expected
the
him to tell her
stage
why.
with his parents.
She
his
expected him
father
to
by
describe
his
his
side
first day of
that
training.
year instead of with the
But to
nurturers,
ask would have
since it
fallen
was
into
the
the
year that
category
he
of
would be
rudeness.
given a new child of his own.
You've been doing so many volunteer
He remembered
hours
his
with the
mother
old,
taking the new
Jonas said,
child,
changing the
his
subject.
sister,
There won't be much that
into
you
her
don't already
arms.
know.
While the document
there's
was read
lots
to
to
the
learn,
assembled
Fiona
family
replied.
units.
There's administrative
child
work and the
23,
dietary rules and
the
punishment
namer
for
had read.
disobedience.
Lily.
Did you know that they use a discipline wand on
remembered
the
his
old,
father's look
the
of
same as
delight,
for small
and that his
children?
father had
and there's
whispered,
occupational
"She's
therapy
one of my
and
favorites."
recreational
I was
activities and
hoping for her to
medications
be
and
the one. The crowd
They
had
reached the
clapped,
building
and Jonas
and
had
braked their
grinned.
bikes.
He liked his sister's name.
I really think I like it
Lily,
better than
barely
school.
awake, had waved her
Fiona
small
confessed.
fist. Then they had
Me
stepped
too,
down to make room
Jonas
for the next
agreed,
family
wheeling
unit.
his bike into its place.
When I was in
She
11,
waited for a
his
second,
father
as if
said,
again
"Now,
she expected
as
him
you
to go
are,
on.
Jonas." I was
Then
very
she looked at her
impatient,
watch,
waiting
waved,
for
and
the
hurried toward
ceremony
the
at
entrance.
12. It's a long 2
Jonas
days.
stood for a moment
I
beside
remember
his
that I
bike.
enjoyed the ones, as I
Startled.
always do, but
It
that I
had
didn't
happened
pay much
again.
attention to the other
The thing
ceremonies,
that he
except
thought
for
of
my
now as
sisters.
seeing beyond.
She became a 9 that year.
This
and got
time
her
it had been
bicycle.
Fiona who had undergone
I'd been
that
teaching her to
fleeting,
ride mine,
indescribable
even though technically
change.
I wasn't supposed to.
As he looked up and toward
Jonas
her
laughed.
going through the door,
It was one of the few rules that was not
happened.
taken very seriously and was
She
almost
changed.
always broken.
Actually,
the children all
Jonas
received their
thought,
bicycles
trying
at
to
9.
recreate it in
They
his
were not
mind,
allowed to ride bicycles
it wasn't
before
Fiona
then,
in
but
her
almost
entirety.
always the older brothers and
Seemed to be
sisters had
just
secretly taught taught the younger ones.
Just
Jonas
for
had
that
been thinking
flickering
already
instant,
about teaching Lily.
He ran through it in his mind.
There was
It
talk about
clearly
changing
beginning
the
to happen
rule and
more
giving the
often.
bicycles at an
First,
earlier age.
the apple a few
A
weeks
committee was
before.
studying the idea.
The next time had been the faces in the
When
audience
something
at the
went to a
auditorium
committee
just
for
2 days
study,
ago.
the people
Now,
always joked
today,
about it. They said that the
Fiona's
committee
hair.
members would become elders by the time the
Frowning,
rule change was
Jonas
made.
walked toward the annex.
Rules
I
were
will
very
ask the
hard
giver,
to change.
he decided.
Sometimes, if it was a
The old
very
man looked
important
up,
rule, unlike the
smiling,
one governing
when
the
Jonas
age for
entered the room.
bicycles,
He
would
was
have to
already
go
seated
eventually
beside
to the
the bed,
receiver for
and he
a
seemed
decision.
more energetic today.
The
slightly
receiver was the
renewed.
most important
Glad
elder.
to see Jonas.
Jonas had
Welcome,
never even seen
he said.
him that he knew
We
of.
must get started.
Someone in a
You're 1
position
minute
of
late.
such importance
I
lived and worked
apologize.
alone.
Jonas
But
began.
the committee would never
and
bother
then
the
stopped,
receiver with a
flustered,
question
remembering
about
there were to be
bicycles.
no apologies.
They would simply fret and argue
He
about it
removed his
themselves
tunic
for
and went to the
years,
bed.
until the citizens forgot
I'm
that
1
it had
minute
ever
late
gone
because
to them
something
for
happened.
study.
He explained.
His father
And
continued.
I'd like to ask you about
So
it,
I
if
watched
you don't
and cheered
mind.
when my sister Katya
You may ask me
became a
anything.
9 and removed her hair ribbons and
Jonas
got her bicycle.
tried to sort
Father
it
went
out
on.
in his mind so
Then
that
I
he could
didn't pay
explain
much
it
attention
clearly.
to the 10s and 11s.
I
And
think it's
finally,
what you call
at the end of the second
seeing
day, which
beyond.
seemed to go on forever,
He
it was
said.
my turn.
The giver
It was
nodded.
the ceremony of 12.
Describe it, he said.
Jonas shivered.
Jonas told him
Pictured
about the
his
experience
father,
with
who
the
must have been
apple.
a shy and quiet
Then a moment
boy,
on
for
stage
which he
when
was
he
a
had looked
shy and
out and
quiet
seen the
man,
same phenomenon
seated
on the
with his
faces of
group,
the
waiting
crowd.
to be called to the stage.
Then today, just
The
now,
ceremony
outside,
of 12 was the
it
last
happened
of
with
the
my friend
ceremonies.
Fiona.
The most important.
She herself didn't change exactly.
I remember how
but
proud
something
my
about her
parents
changed
looked,
for a
and my
second.
sister too.
Her hair looked
even though
different,
she wanted to be
but
out
not in
riding the
its shape,
bicycle
not in its
publicly.
length.
She
I can't
stopped
quite-
fidgeting and was very still and attentive when my
paused,
turn came.
frustrated by
But
his
to be honest,
inability
Jonas,
to grasp and
his father
describe
said,
exactly what
For me,
had
there was not the
occurred.
element of suspense that there is with your
Finally,
ceremony.
he simply said,
because I was already
"It
fairly
changed.
certain
I
of
don't
what
know
my
how
assignment
or
was to
why."
be. Jonas was surprised.
That's why I was 1 minute late.
There's no way really to know in
concluded,
advance.
and
It was a
looked
secret
questioningly
selection
at the
made by
giver.
the leaders of the community. The
To his
committee of
surprise,
elders.
the
who
old
took
man
the
asked him a
responsibility
question
so
which seemed
seriously
unrelated to the
that
scene
there were never
beyond.
even any jokes made about
When I
assignments.
gave you the memory yesterday,
His mother seemed surprised
the
too.
first one, the ride
How
on
could
the
you have
sled.
known? She asked.
Did you look around?
His father smiled his
Jonas
gentle
nodded.
smile.
Yes,
well,
he said.
It was
But the
clear
stuff,
to me.
I mean, the
and my
snow
parents later confessed
in
that
the
it had
air
been
made it
obvious
hard
to
to
them
see
too
anything.
what my aptitude was.
Did you look at the sled?
I had always loved the new children
Jonas
more than
thought back.
anything.
No,
when my friends
I
in my
only
age
felt
group
it
were
under
holding
me.
bicycle races
I dreamed
or
of it
building
last
toy
night too.
vehicles or bridges
But I
with
don't
their
remember
construction
seeing the
sets
sled in my
or
dream either.
all the
Just
things I do with my
feeling it.
friends. Jonas pointed out,
The
and his
giver
mother
seemed to
nodded
be
in
thinking.
agreement.
When I was
I always
observing
participated, of course,
before the
because as
selection,
children we must experience
I
all of those
perceived that you
things.
probably had the
And I
capacity.
studied hard in school
and what
as you do,
described
Jonas.
confirms that.
But again and again,
It
during free
happened
time,
somewhat differently to
I
me.
found myself drawn to
The
the
giver
new
told
children.
him.
I spent
When I was
almost
just
all of
your
my
age,
volunteer hours
about to
helping
become
in the
the new
nurturing
receiver,
center.
I began
Of
to
course, the
experience
elders
it,
knew that
though
from
it
their
took a different
observation.
form.
Jonas
With me, it
nodded.
was,
During the
well,
past year, he had been
I
aware
won't
of the
describe that
increasing
now.
level
You
of
wouldn't understand
observation.
it yet.
In school, at
But I
recreation
think I can
time,
guess
during
how it's happening
volunteer
with
hours,
you.
he had
Let me
noticed
just
the
make a
elders
little
watching
test
him and the
to
other
confirm my
11s.
guess.
He had seen them taking
Lie down.
notes. He knew, too, that the elders
Jonas
were
lay on the
meeting for
bed
long
again with
hours
his
with
hands
all
at
of the
his
instructors
sides.
that he and the
He
other
felt
11s
comfortable
had
here
had
now.
during their years of
He
school.
closed his eyes
So
and
I
waited for the
expected it,
familiar
and I was
feel of the
pleased,
giver's hands on
but
his
not
back.
at all surprised when my assignment was announced
But
as
it didn't
nurturer.
come.
Father explained.
Instead, the giver
Did
instructed
everyone
him.
applaud, even though they weren't
Call
surprised?
back the memory
Jonas
of
asked.
the ride on the
Oh,
sled.
of course. They
Just
were
the
very happy
beginning
for me
of it.
that my assignment was
Where
what I
you're at
wanted
the top
most.
of the hill
I felt very
before the
fortunate.
slide starts.
His father smiled.
And this time,
Were any of the
Look
11s
down at the
disappointed
sled.
your year? Jonas asked.
Jonas was puzzled.
Unlike his father,
opened
he
his
had no
eyes.
idea what his
"Excuse me,"
assignment would be.
he asked
But
politely.
he knew that some would disappoint
But don't
him.
you have to give me the
Though
memory?
he respected his father's work, nurturer would
It's
not
your
be his
memory
wish.
now.
And he didn't
It's
envy
not
laborers
mine
at
to
all.
experience any longer.
His father thought,
I gave it away.
No, I don't
But
think
how can
so.
I call it back?
Of course, the elders are so
You
careful
can
in their
remember last
observations
year,
and
or the year
selections.
that you were a 7 or a 5, can't
I
you?
think it's probably the
Of
most
course.
important job in our community,
much the
his mother
same.
commented.
Everyone in the community has
My
one
friend
generation
Yoshiko was
memories like
surprised by
those.
her selection as
But
doctor.
now you will
Father
be able
said,
to
but
go
she
back
was
farther.
thrilled. And let's
Try.
see, there was
Just
Andre. I remember that when we were boys, he never wanted to do physical things.
Jonas closed
he
his
spent all
eyes
the
again.
recreation time he could with his
Took a deep
construction
breath
set,
and
and his
saw
volunteer
the
hours were
sled
always on
and the
building
hill
sites.
and the snow
The elders
in
knew
his
that, of course.
consciousness.
Andre was given the assignment
There
of
they were,
engineer,
with
and he
no
was
effort.
delighted.
He was again
Andre
sitting in
later
that
designed the
whirling
bridge that crosses
world
the
of
river to the west of
snowflakes
town.
atop the hill.
Jonas's mother
Jonas
said.
grinned with
Wasn't
delight
there when we were
and blew his
children.
own steamy breath into view.
There are very
Then,
rarely
as he had been
disappointments, Jonas.
instructed,
I don't
look
think
down.
you need to worry about that.
He
His
saw
father
his own
reassured him.
hands
And
furred
if there
again
are,
with
you know,
snow,
there's an
holding
appeal
the rope.
process.
He saw his legs
But they all
and
laughed
moved
at
them aside for a
and
glimpse of
Peel
the
went to a
sled
committee
beneath.
for study.
Dumbfounded.
I worry a little about Asher's assignment,
stared
Jonas
at it.
confessed.
This
Asher's
time
such
it was not a
fun,
fleeting impression.
but he doesn't really
This
have any
time the
serious
sled
interest.
had, and
He makes a game
continued
out
to
of
have,
everything.
As he blinked and
His
stared
father
at it
chuckled.
again.
You
that
know,
same
he said,
mysterious
I remember when
quality
Asher
that
was
the
a new
apple
child
had
at the
so
nurturing
briefly.
center before he was named.
And Fiona's
He never
hair.
cried. He giggled
sled
and
did
laughed
not
at everything.
change. It simply
All of us on the
was.
staff enjoyed nurturing Asher.
Whatever the thing was.
The elders know Asher, his mother
Jonas
said.
opened his
They'll find
eyes
exactly the right assignment
was
for
still
him.
on the bed.
I don't think you need to worry about him.
The giver was
But
watching
Jonas,
him
let me warn you
curiously.
about something that may not have occurred to
Yes,
you. I know
Jonas
I
said
didn't think
slowly.
about it until after my ceremony
I
of
saw
12.
it
What's that?
in the sled.
Well, it's
Let
the
me
last
try
of the
one more
ceremonies,
thing.
as you know.
Look over there
After 12,
to the
age
bookcase.
isn't important.
Do you see
Most
the
of
very
us even
top
lose track
row
of how old
books,
we are
the ones
as time
behind
passes,
the table
though the information
on the top
is in the
shelf?
Hall of Open Records, and we
Jonas
could go and
sought
look it
them
up
with
if
his
we
eyes.
wanted to.
He stared at them.
What's important
and
is the
changed.
preparation for adult
But
life
the change was
and
fleeting.
the training you'll
It
receive
slipped
in your
away
assignment.
the next instant.
I know that,
It happened.
Jonas said.
Jonas
Everyone
said.
knows that.
It happened to the books.
But it means...
But it went
his
away
mother went
again.
on,
I'm
you'll
right
move
then.
into a new group, the giver said, and each of your friends will.
You're beginning to
You'll
see
no
the
longer
color
be spending your time
red.
with your group of 11s.
The what?
After the ceremony of
The giver
12,
sighed.
you'll be with your assignment
How to
group
explain
with those in
this?
training.
Once,
no more volunteer
back in the time
hours,
of the
no more
memories,
recreation hours.
everything
So
had
your
a
friends
shape
will
and
no longer be
size,
as close.
the way things still do.
Jonas shook his
But
head.
they also had a quality
Asher and I will
called
always be friends, he
color.
said firmly. And there
There
will
were
still
a
be
lot of
school.
colors.
That's
and one
true,
of
his
them was
father
called
agreed.
red.
What your mother said is true as well.
That's the one
There
you are
will be
starting to
changes.
see.
Good
Your
changes,
friend
though,
Fiona
his
has
mother
red
pointed
hair.
out.
Quite
After my
distinctive,
ceremony of
actually.
12, I
I've
missed my
noticed it
childhood
before.
recreation.
When you mentioned
But when I
Fiona's
entered my
hair,
training for law and
it was the
justice,
clue that told
I found
me you were
myself with
probably
people who
beginning
shared
to
my
see the
interests.
color
I
red.
made friends on a new level, friends
And
of
the
all
faces
ages.
of people? The ones I saw at
Did
the
you
ceremony?
still play at all after 12?
The giver shook
Jonas
his head.
asked.
No,
Occasionally,
flesh
his mother
isn't
replied.
red.
But it didn't
But
seem
it
as
has
important
red
to me.
tones in it.
I did.
There was a time,
his father
actually,
said, laughing.
you'll see this
I
in the
still
memories
do,
later,
every day at
when
the nurturing
flesh was
center.
many different
I
colors.
played bounce
That was
on the knee
before
and
we went to
peekaboo and hugged
sameness.
the teddy.
Today,
He
flesh
reached
is
over and
all the
stroked
same.
Jonas's neatly
And what you
trimmed
saw
hair.
was the red tones.
Fun doesn't
Probably
end
when you
become
saw the faces
12.
take on color, it wasn't as
Lily
deep or
appeared,
vibrant as
wearing
the
her
apple
nightclothes in the
or
doorway.
your friend's hair.
She gave an impatient sigh.
The giver chuckled suddenly.
This is certainly a very
We've
long,
never
private
completely
conversation,
mastered sameness.
she said. And there are
I
certain
suppose
people
the genetic
waiting for their
scientists
comfort
are still
object.
hard at work trying to work the
Lily,
kinks out.
her mother said
Hair
fondly,
like Fiona's must
you're
drive
very
them
close
crazy.
to being an 8. And when you're an 8,
Jonas
your comfort
listened,
object will
trying
be taken away.
hard to comprehend.
It will be recycled to the younger children.
And the sled?
You should be starting
He
to
said.
go off to sleep without
It had that same thing, the color
But her
red.
father had already gone to the
But it
shelf
didn't
and taken
change,
down the stuffed
Giver.
elephant,
It
which was
just
kept
was.
there. Many of the comfort
Because it's
objects,
a
like
memory
Lily's,
from the
were
time
soft,
when color
stuffed,
was.
imaginary creatures.
It was
Jonas's
so-
had been called a bear.
Oh, I wish language
Here
were
you
more
are,
precise.
Lily Billy,
The red
he
was
said.
so
I'll come help you
beautiful.
remove your hair ribbons.
The
Jonas
giver
and his
nodded.
mother rolled their eyes, yet they
It
watched
is.
affectionately as
Do you
Lily
see
and
it
her
all the
father
time?
headed to her
I
sleeping
see
room
all of them,
with a
all
stuffed
the
elephant
colors.
that had been given
Will
to
I?
her as her comfort
Of
object when
course.
she was born.
When you receive the
His
memories,
mother moved to her big desk
you'll have the
and opened her
capacity to
briefcase.
see beyond.
Her work never
You'll
seemed
gain
to
wisdom
end.
then,
Even when she
along
was
with
at home in the
colors.
evening.
And lots
Jonas
more.
went to his own desk and began to sort
Jonas
through his
wasn't
school
interested
papers
just
for
then
the
in
evening's
wisdom.
assignment.
It was the colors that
But his mind was
fascinated
still
him.
on December and the
Why
coming
can't everyone
ceremony.
see them? Why did
Though
colors
he had
disappear?
been reassured by the talk with his parents,
The giver shrugged.
he hadn't the slightest idea
Our
what
people made that
assignment
choice,
the elders would
the
be
choice to
selecting
go
for
to
his
sameness.
future,
Before my time,
or how
before the
he
previous
might feel
time,
about
back
it
and back and back.
when the day came.
We relinquished color when we relinquished sunshine and did away with differences. He thought for a moment. We gained control of many things, but we had to let go of others. We shouldn't have, Jonas said fiercely. The giver looked startled at the certainty of Jonas's reaction. Then he smiled wryly. You've come very quickly to that conclusion, he said. It took me many years. Maybe your wisdom will come much more quickly than mine. He glanced at the wall clock. Lie back down now. We have so much to do. Giver? Jonas asked as he arranged himself again on the bed. How did it happen to you when you were becoming the receiver? You said that the seeing beyond happened to you, but not the same way. The hands came to his back. Another day, the giver said gently. I'll tell you another day. Now we must work. And I've thought of a way to help you with the concept of color. Close your eyes and be still now. I'm going to give you a memory of a rainbow.